Pooja. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you've landed here for the very first time. If you are here for the first time, then don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and the bell icon which is just next to it so that you can get regular updates from my channel. So we are doing geography now again, and this time it's another highly requested country. It is Indonesia or Indonesia, however you pronounce it. Yep, we are doing geography now. Indonesia. Yes. So yeah, let's get started because it's a long video and I am dying to know more about them. So let's get started. I'm also like India is on my list to be doing that. Yeah, India is also on my list, but let's see. Let's go with Indonesia first because it was highly requested. Okay, Indonesia, geography now. Hey
everybody, so if you don't know anything about Indonesia, basically all you have to know is that it's kind of like the Hawaii of the Muslim world, but it's like huge.
Ooh.
It's like the biggest state with orangutans. And that's it, just no punchline.
Okay. Hawaii. You know that Bali's destination that I want to visit so bad.
One time on one island for like 3 hours, I ate one dish, so basically I'm like the Indonesia expert, right? Well,
yeah,
I'm the only guy on YouTube doing full profile videos like this, so for now, you'll just have to kind of deal with me for like the next 12 or so minutes.
That's fine.
Default.
That's fine. Political geography.
If you don't know anything about Indonesia, it's basically like...
Oh, internet. Really, sweetie? Really? Okay, it's back, I guess. I think we need to start over again because it'll stop again and again. It's buffering. Not a very good sign. Let me try playing at the same spot. I'm not very sure. Let's try.
East and
worked.
South Asia had an incredibly colorful, loud, somewhat explosive
Beautiful.
set of babies. Like thousands of them. Okay, that doesn't really help. First of all, Indonesia is the world's largest archipelago nation, located right where the Indian Ocean meets the Pacific Ocean. On the incredibly clustered set of islands, making 6 countries known commonly as Nusantara or the Malay Archipelago. Indonesian Archipelago. Sure, whatever makes you happy. Indonesia actually has land borders with 3 of these countries: East Timor, Papua New Guinea, and Malaysia. On the biggest island, Borneo, or islands, numerous with lush, colorful, strange diversity. Sometimes a cyclone, earthquake, or volcano of controversy erupts, but at the end of the day, they still flourish together as one. Stay tuned.
That was a nice line. That was a really nice line. Oh yay. Oh my god, I literally did not know anything. Yeah, I've always said this, I'm really bad at geography. It doesn't really matter like if it's India's geography, if it's some other country's geography, if it's anything. But I'm always, I love to learn. There's a reason why I chose pure science and this research things, because I love learning, and this is great. I'm so happy like you guys let me know about this kind of channel. Like it's fun. You're seeing visuals, you're seeing a lot of things, and you're learning at the same time. It's the best thing. Yeah, I really want to do India next. I really hope you enjoyed this as well, and thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Loved it. Anyway, bye. Bye, berries. Love you.